Well, thank you, President LeDuc. I must say that that's a very intimidating introduction, and I certainly hope I can live up to it. Congratulations. Today marks a great achievement for each graduate. You have now, through your hard work and determination, joined a fellowship of common law lawyers. And it's your degree, not your admittance to one bar or another, that makes you a lawyer. And this is a fellowship extending back over 1,000 years and spanning the globe. Welcome, welcome, my brethren in the law. Your adventure is just about to begin. I am sure that each of you have some expectations for that adventure. You all have goals and plans for the future. You want to become a district attorney. You want to practice residential real estate. You want to be a partner in a large law firm in Cleveland or Vancouver or Berlin. And probably about half of you will achieve your goals pretty well the way you planned. But that does not mean that half of you will fail. Far from it. The path your professional life may not be as you expected, but that does not mean the path will be unrewarding. It may be surprising, but surprises can be good. And while it may briefly seem otherwise while you are looking for that elusive first job, everyone and everything needs a lawyer. People buying a house, making a will, churches, synagogues, mosques, a corner store, or the government of Romania. They all need lawyers, and opportunities are abundant. There is lots of work. So whatever you end up doing, the work you expect or something else completely, you will use your legal training. My own journey is probably as good an example as any. I started as a lawyer at a big white shoe law firm and planned for a future where I was a master of the universe, a partner on the 72nd floor doing corporate mergers and acquisitions. As it turned out, I ended up doing murder cases in the high Arctic in isolated Aboriginal communities where English, if spoken at all, is at best a second language. In fact, I've learned to speak rudimentary Inuktitut. Ula Jamasi Uyuna. And I love it. But how I got there is serendipitous. After a couple of years at the big firm, I left and founded my own litigation firm, a small firm, and I started doing the mixed bag of civil, criminal, and family work that every small, new litigation firm does. Then one day I was on an estates file outside of Toronto, and I ran across a friend from law school. I hadn't seen him for several years, so we got talking about what he was doing. And he told me he'd been working in Canada's newest territory, Nunavut, on a part-time basis, but he had to give it up for family reasons. I asked him how he came to this work, and he told me he'd stumbled across it, and I should call someone and try to get on the list of approved lawyers. I did so and took one fairly small case out of Cape Dorset. Cape Dorset is an island off the coast of Baffin Island. It's a remarkable community. Some of the world's finest sculptors and print artists live there. It has the feel of an artist community by the sea. But English is scarcely heard. Inuktitut is a living language, and it's the language of everyday life. Wolves and bears lurk on the edge of town. People live on country food. They hunt to eat. And sadly, violence is endemic. It's a place where suicide, murder, and sudden death are all too common. Now, most Southerners, as people not from the Arctic are called, who come to the North hate it. They hate it and they leave as soon as they possibly can. Nunavut is roughly the size of Europe, with a total population of a small American town. It's cold in the winter. I've seen minus 62 degrees. Blizzards are dangerous, and you can be killed in town and your body not found for months. But the wild landscape is beautiful, and the communities, although isolated and sometimes violent, are hardy and welcoming to strangers. It's a place I grew to love. Fast forward a few years. I have a busy homicide practice. My work takes me to the territory roughly monthly, and I fly over the vastness in DC-3s, these are 70-year-old planes, and I'm greeted in each town not as a lawyer, but as the lawyer. I've become a big fish in a really small pond. Now, perhaps this is not your choice. In fact, I doubt it is. But that's okay. My point is that at graduation, I would have laughed at the suggestion that my most significant work would be defending Inuit in Inuktitut language jury trials against RCM police witnesses. Your future may be unknown now, but gosh, it's exciting. And my connection with Thomas M. Cooley Law School also came about in an unplanned way, but was amazingly rewarding. A good friend asked if I could take on his daughter as an intern for a few months, and I agreed. Little did I know that such a small favor, really a favor for me more than for my friend, would turn into a relationship lasting over decades, where dozens of students and several lawyers from Cooley would join my firm. I would teach summer school in Toronto, and finally I would make a weekly trek to Michigan to teach Canadian law to American students at the splendid Auburn Hills campus. And teaching law, Canadian law, to American-trained law students, I came to appreciate how our two systems are related. Our two legal systems are really very close. Indeed, I've argued cases in the United States and found the systems to be so similar that when in doubt, if I do what's right in Canada, it's almost always right in the United States. It's true, I once cited a Supreme Court of Canada case to a Texas judge, and to my great surprise, he simply accepted it. Our laws of evidence, substantive commercial law, and most criminal procedure are pretty well the same. Indeed, modern Canadian family law is largely copied from American statutory reforms of the 1970s. Someone training at Cooley has the training to become a practicing Canadian lawyer very easily. But there are differences in our systems. To be sure, there are superficial differences. Canada has a unitary court system, while the United States has separate federal and state courts. Canadian criminal law is federal, while in the United States it is the states that regulate crime. But these are not deep differences. These are differences on the surface, differences of process. But there are some differences that are very deep, and they do go to the roots of our two friendly nations. America broke away from the British Crown. Canada embraced the monarchy. That money that President Leduc mentioned, if you look at it, it may seem a little odd, but the face on the money is Her Majesty the Queen. Now, that doesn't mean that my Walmart is very different from your Walmart. But it does mean that in court, Canadians are subjects and not citizens. Yes, Canadians have rights, but they are rights granted from our sovereign, and in return we owe duties of loyalty to the sovereign. Our judges at all levels sit in the stead of Her Majesty. That's why they're not elected, they're appointed. And they render justice from her. Canada does not have government by the people, but government of the people. Now, which system is better? Neither. They're merely different. In general, I have found American judges to be just as zealous as Canadian judges in ensuring innocent accused are vindicated and enforceable contracts are enforced. But Canadian judges do so for the better order and good government of the peaceable kingdom, not because they are representatives of the people. In any event, let me move away from theory and on to things that you can use in your professional life. Regardless of what you do as a lawyer, one thing will be constant: your reputation. And you will have a reputation. No matter how many lawyers there seem to be, what others think of you and say about you will be important. A reputation is created by hard work, integrity, professionalism, but there are specific things you can do to help build a good reputation. First, get involved in your local bar association. Volunteer to be on organizing committees. Do the grunt work and set up continuing legal education programs in whatever area of law you practice. Make the time to do it. I know it'll be hard, but you can. It's a great way to meet judges, senior lawyers, and eventually to be noticed by the profession as a whole. Besides, you'll learn more about the area in which you practice. Second, write. We lawyers are wordsmiths. We write for a living, and you can and should write for both the public and the profession. Your local newspaper undoubtedly accepts opinion pieces. You should write them. Even if only half or a quarter actually get published, you will get known in the general public. Focus on legal issues and give sober, sensible opinions. And the pieces that are rejected, and many will be, you can post to your blog. And you should have a blog. But not a blog about your weekend pub crawls. That's a bad idea. Although it does help generate a reputation. A blog about law, case summaries for example, is a good idea. Writing case summaries will keep you current, and even if you post but one a week, people searching the web for, say, issues on easements in Michigan will see your post. Finally, write for the profession. Most jurisdictions have a lawyer's newspaper. In Michigan, for example, there's the Michigan Lawyers Weekly. All these papers accept opinion pieces by lawyers for lawyers. Write for these papers. Your name and reputation will be enhanced. Third, teach. Perhaps you will not be able to teach at law school to begin, but courses for legal assistants or the general public at community colleges may be available. By teaching even an introductory course, you deepen your own legal knowledge and your students will become ambassadors to the world. Of course, if you get a chance to teach at law school, jump on it. Today's law students are, as you are, proof, this graduating class is proof, tomorrow's colleague. But whatever you ultimately do, however you build your profession, remember that as a lawyer you have been given special privileges. But those privileges are given for a reason. You are a key element in the justice system. And that is just as true for a residential real estate lawyer or an in-house corporate attorney as it is for a criminal lawyer defending a murder. You must fearlessly represent your client within the bounds of honesty and the law. You are not a hired gun or a mouthpiece. Your task is to see that your client is treated justly and fairly. If there is a case that you cannot take, perhaps because it offends your own personal moral code, then you must not take it. But having taken a case, you must give it all you can. And it may be that you will not achieve everything your client wants. Indeed, that happy result seldom occurs. But it does not mean you have bad clients and bad files, and certainly does not mean you have lost. You are true to yourself and your profession if you do all you can. Judge Leonard Hand, that wizard of the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, said it well. We may win when we lose if we have done what we can. For by so doing we have made real at least some part of that finished product in whose fabrication we are most concerned, ourselves. Thank you so much for letting me speak to you today. Good luck and congratulations all.